It's showtime, baby. Let's go. Woo! Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, Iceman Jeff Trunapole, and it's also bringing you sports from a West Side point of view, right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio, home of some of the best fans in baseball and the NFL. I'm a little biased. Anyway, what's going on? Hope you guys are enjoying this glorious Tuesday, March 26th, 2024. Do me a favor. Hit that thumbs up, like and subscribe, share. I am live streaming on ZTV, YouTube, Facebook, X, Rumble. And if you're listening to it on podcast, what's up? I'm on BeanPod, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher Play, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. Please make sure you rate, like, and review. And as always, shout out to the sponsors of the show. The best barbecue joint in the city of Cincinnati, Midwest Best Barbecue. I know I'm a West Side boy, but this is on the East Side. So make sure you guys get out there to the East Side. Go check out Midwest Best. Their barbecue is delicious. Their mac and cheese is delicious. Their cornbread is delicious. Go get some. If you're not going down to the Reds game, order some Midwest Best. Eat some wings and watch the Reds game. Also, I hope you guys are staying nice and dry. I am, and nice and cool in here and warm in the ice cave, because I got my windows from Meyer Door and Windows. Make sure you go check them out if you're looking for door and windows. They give free estimates. They look great. They keep the cool air inside in the summertime, and in the wintertime, they keep the warm air in. They're easy to clean, and they're great family-owned business to work with. Go check out them if you're looking for windows. And my West Side peeps, if you're looking for a bar to go hang out, we got the Sweet 16 this weekend. Go check out a hidden gem in Chevois. That's a little, special way to say Cheviot. It's Hail Marys, your ticket to the game. Go check it out there. They got cool beer specials. They got a giant TV screen where you can watch all the games. It will be an awesome time. And you know what? It's Reds opening week. Opening day is Thursday. Make sure, if you guys are going, come down and visit me. I'm going to be doing a live broadcast right outside Moorline House, right there at the front door. As you walk in there, there's a bar. There's an outdoor eating area out there. You go out there. John and friends are going to be at the green area over on the side. You come over and check me out. I'll be on the front. There's going to be a lot of parties going on there for Reds opening day, because we're all excited about Cincinnati Reds and making their playoff run. So make sure you join me from 1 to 3 live at the Moorline House. What is up to everybody in the chat? Who was first? I think was a stranger. Yep, strangers first. Brad's in there. Rocket Bengal, Nicole, Paul, Austin, Darth, Robert. What is going on, everybody? All right. So I kind of titled this, "What's the next move for the Cincinnati Bengals?" This offseason, I think they've done a really good job, in my opinion, of fixing holes. The one thing I still would like them to fix is the interior defensive line. I know we got Rankins, but I'd like to have at least one more guy there before we get to that. Now, I'll bring Dallas on here in a second, but I'm going to say this. At this point, I could see the Bengals going interior defensive line to 18. Now, Dallas might not agree with me on this or not, but that's why he's here for us. We can have a discussion about this. Let's get to Dallas. Dallas, what's going on, my man?
Hey, how you doing, Jeff? It's great time of year. Free agency, draft, Reds opening day, March Madness. It's perfect if you're a sports fan. You've got everything going on. It's great.
This is one of my favorite times of years. I love March Madness. I mean, hey, I know the Bearcats are not in the NCAA tournament, but they're in the NIT, and they are a one win away. If they win tonight, they go to the Final Four of the NIT. So that's an accomplishment. And hey, sorry, we went farther than Xavier, so just saying. Anyway, so Bengals here. Well, all right, let's start off this way. What is your grade on their offseason moves so far? I think they've done a pretty darn good job of filling most of the holes that they had this offseason. What's your thoughts?
I would agree. Yeah, I believe I gave them an A minus in my free agency grades, and that was before they signed Trent Brown. So I think I would give them an A. It's always weird with grades, right? It's, are you looking at talent in versus talent out?
Right.
I guess that's probably the way you should do it. I kind of look at it as they filled the holes they needed to fill, so they weren't going to go into the draft and have to take a specific position in the first round. They're not going to be guaranteed to have to gear in on any one spot because they've got capable players everywhere. So
Right.
From that perspective, I loved it. I guess you could quibble about, DJ Reader versus Sheldon Rankins and how that money was divided up and whether they should still be making a move now. I mean, they've got the money to do something if they want to, but I think from a perspective of just filling the needs they had, I think they did a pretty good job.
Yeah, the one concern for me is still the running defense because when DJ was not out there, our running defense sucked. It wasn't that great with him there. Nothing against DJ Reader at all. Yeah. Sheldon Rankins is not known as a run stopper. He says he can play the run. I'm still looking at, is there a chance that the Bengals could go out and sign Tart? I mean, he hasn't signed with anybody else. I mean, maybe he comes back and say, hey, I want to go win a ring. Maybe I'll sign for less than with the Bengals. I don't know. What do you think on that one?
I mean, it's possible. They obviously have an interest, right? They tried to claim him off waivers during the season last year. They brought him in for a visit. I think if it was going to happen, it probably would have happened. Paul Dana with The Athletic reported that they discovered that it was not a culture fit. And I use that kind of terminology. I don't know. You wonder what even happened in the free agent meeting that would give the Bengals the idea that, one day with this guy, we've already determined he's not a fit for our locker room. I mean, that's kind of concerning.
Yeah, right.
If that's the case, then I don't know that there would be a price point where it makes sense. Even if he's going to sign for the minimum, do they want to bring him in if they feel he's truly not a fit in the locker room? I don't know, but you're right that there are not a lot of options out there. They could go sign Calais Campbell. He's like 38 years old. I mean, he's a good player. He was still good last season, but
he's 38.
He's 38 years old. Lawrence Guy is out there. He's 34 or 35. I mean, there are guys out there who can clog the run. And you're right. Sheldon Rankins said that maybe he doesn't agree with the sense that he's not a run stopper.
Right.
We'll see.
We'll find out.
I don't know. Could they re-sign Josh Tupou? He's still out there. I mean, that's the guy I feel like they know they're comfortable with. If they don't find somebody in the draft, I wouldn't be surprised if he's on the roster, that Monday morning after the draft, if they don't land somebody in the draft who's that big body. There are options in the draft. There are guys, Tavondre Sweat from Texas, McKinley Jackson. I think Texas A&M. They're the bigger body type guys that could fit as a nose tackle. Again, do you want to spend a second round pick on a position like that? That's maybe not a premium position in today's NFL. I don't know. I mean, these are all questions the Bengals are going to have to kind of grapple with as the draft approaches because it's not something they hit in free agency.
All right. Now, where are you at on 18? Because I said at the top that I could see with what they've done as being the hole to fix is the run stopper. That guy. Sheldon Rankins, 3-tech, kind of need a nose tackle or at least somebody in there that can help stop the run. I would be surprised if Bryant is there or Newman is there. They might draft them at 18. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I could definitely see it, especially with Byron Murphy from Texas, because you look
Murphy.
At the
Sorry, I meant Murphy. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, look at the defensive tackles who, if you go to Over the Cap and sort the defensive tackles in the NFL by average annual value, by the biggest contracts in the league, these are all first round picks. You're just not finding these interior disruptor guys late in the draft. These are high end, like premium athletes that you have to pay for. I think Murphy can be that guy. Absolutely. I don't know about Newton. I kind of need to study Newton more. I'm not really comfortable giving an opinion on him yet, but I think Murphy definitely could be that guy. I just wonder, there are so many offensive tackles that are going to be available in round one.
Right.
I think there will be options that the Bengals like there. Whereas Murphy, I think very well could be off the board by the time the Bengals even get on the board. I think there's a chance he's the first defensive player off the board. I think Turner from Alabama and Jared Verse from Florida State, maybe some of the cornerbacks are kind of probably the betting favorites to be the first defensive player. I would not be surprised just given how important interior pressure is in the NFL, if Byron Murphy is the top defensive player off the board.
He could be. He could be. Now, if that happens, then I definitely would pivot and think the Bengals are going for offensive lineman there, which, I mean, they still have to address that because Brown is only signed for 1 year. And we don't, I mean, only as far as our backups, the only one that I'm comfortable with being a backup, honestly, is Colt Ford. The rest of them, I'm not so sold on them. I know Jax Carmen had that great run, 2 years ago in the playoffs, but he didn't play last year. And DeAndre Smith really hasn't played much. They haven't really developed the way the Bengals had thought or hoped they would. So just far as depth goes for your offense, like because the funny thing is, like the last 2 years when we went to the Super Bowl, went to the AFC Championship game, we had our injuries to our offensive line. This year, everybody's healthy, and Joe gets hurt. So go figure. But I mean, I still think we need to add to that room because, like I said, you don't know. Maybe they sign Brown again next year. I don't know. But you need to have somebody there so you're not going, oh, crap, what do we do now? We're at right tackle again, and we got to figure out somebody again, which the Bengals have done every year. And I think they hit the ball at the ballpark with Trent Brown. So, 2 questions. What's your thoughts on Trent Brown, and where are they at with 18 if they do take an offensive lineman? Do you think that's a possibility, or is offensive lineman off the table until second round?
Okay, so I'll start with Trent Brown. I love the Trent Brown deal. I love the Trent Brown contract. The 2 players I wanted the Bengals to sign this offseason, Trent Brown and Zach Moss. So good job, Bengals. You brought in my top 2 guys. I love it.
You have been approved by Dallas.
Absolutely. That's what I'm sure Duke Tobin was waiting for you to say that. I'm sure he wanted that.
Duke watches this show all the time. I mean, come on.
So Trent Brown, 1 year at $4.75 million. I think that's an absolute steal. I thought he was going to get something closer to what the deal he had with the Patriots, which was 2 years, $13 million. Didn't even come close to that. Got 1 year, has $2 million guaranteed.
And it was quick. He came in and signed that day. It was like he wanted to come here.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right about depth because Trent Brown is not the healthiest guy in the world, right? He's missed a lot of time in many, many seasons. He's over the age of 30. He's not hardly a guarantee to play all 17 games. So you'd need depth. I think you're a little more sold even on Cody Ford than I might be, honestly. I think Cody Ford's a good player. I don't necessarily think you want Cody Ford as your 6th offensive lineman, maybe your 7th.
I mean, pretty much was last year.
He pretty much was, but I think you want to add somebody else in there, like one more guy.
I'd like to add somebody. Yes, for sure. Yes.
And so I think at 18, I still think offensive tackle or offensive line in general is still the most likely spot. There are just so many guys who could potentially be available. I think you draft somebody who your goal is to maybe not play them early this year. Your goal is to play Trent Brown at right tackle. You bring in somebody who's your long-term option at right tackle. And Jay brought this up on our show today. Even if Trent Brown wins that right tackle job, say you've drafted J.C. Latham from Alabama. Even if Trent Brown is your right tackle, who's to say that J.C. Latham cannot take the left guard job from Cordell Volson? There's nothing saying that Cordell Volson is locked in as the left guard. I think he could be. I think he could be the left guard again. But I think if you go out and get a first-round pick, even if you'd be moving him, and Latham's played guard a little bit at Alabama, so he's been there. But anybody else, any of these first-round offensive tackle prospects, the goal is to get your best 5 guys on the field, regardless of alignment. I know offensive line continuity is a huge thing, but I think you could see one of these guys starting at guard if Trent Brown wins that right tackle job.
What's your thoughts on Jackson Powers Johnson?
I think it's interesting. I could see it.
That's your guard right there, and future. Yeah. I love Ted Karras. I got the tattoo. Yeah. I love Teddy, but that could be your future center too.
I would prefer if the Bengals went with a guy who at least had the option to play tackle and had that tackle flexibility. Right. You can usually find strict interior alignment, especially centers, 4th, 5th, even 6th round. You find starters at that level. You're generally not finding guys who are even competent tackles later in the draft. So I think if you could find a guy who could play guard in year 1, and maybe that's where he sticks long term, but at least has the ceiling and the option of moving to tackle at some point, that's the way I'd go.
And the thing is, if let's just say you do draft Latham and say he does play guard this year, I think that I'll put this. Do you think that would help him having play his rookie year as guard instead of sticking him out there as right tackle and putting all that pressure on him right there as his first year? Because I've heard this over and over again. It takes at least 2 to 3 years to really develop an offensive line until they or offensive line until they get good. I mean, look at not Sweat. Who was the guy for Detroit? Everybody wants to draft instead of Chase.
Panay
Sewell, yeah. I mean, Sewell, yes, he's turned out to be a great offensive lineman, but that really didn't come into effect until like this year, beginning of last year, where he really got to be one of the best offensive linemen there. So if you take Latham and you put him at guard for a year, and then you kick him back out, and you still got Carter Voice that you can plug back in at guard the next year, that's not a bad fit, I think.
Yeah, I mean, another one of those guys, like Andrew Thomas from the New York Giants, was a guy who looked like an absolute bust after year one and then developed into an all-pro level talent. I mean, it can happen. I guess, yeah, you kind of bring up an interesting question of, do you even want to start a guy out at guard? And with the idea of moving them to tackle, like, I don't know. I don't know enough about it. I have to ask an offensive lineman, I think. How difficult is that to not only be changing positions, but in this case, probably be changing sides of the line as well, moving from one side to the other. I'd like to say that like the best thing is just to get your best five out there. And I think that'd be my primary goal. But yeah, it's a good question to say, like, okay, if he spends a year at guard, is that hindering him down the line from playing tackle, or is just being flexible in general the best option? I don't know. It's a really good question.
And the other thing, I mean, Trent Brown is older, but I mean, we all know what happened when we let a left tackle leave, and because he was too old, and then he went to the Rams and played like 3 years and beat us for a ring. So I mean, Brown could have his best year, and they could re-sign him, and he could be your right tackle for the next 2 years. I mean, who knows? It's
offensive tackles can play a long time, man. You see. I mean, Dwayne Brown was playing for the Jets last year at like 39. I mean, Jason Peters was 40 or 41 and filling in for the Seahawks. Like, and I know it's, Jason Peters is a Hall of Famer, obviously, and so is Andrew Whitworth. And there's a difference there, but these guys can play a long time, I think, at offensive tackle.
What's it going to be like for this Bengals offensive line just having the two biggest tackles together in football? You got two guys that are 6'8", over 300 pounds. I mean, that's monsters right now. I mean, and that to me excites me because, all right, you want to move T.J. Watt from left to right? Go ahead. You still got a 6'8" guy on this side. You got a 6'8" guy on this side. It's not going to be as easy. Oh, we're just going to go put him against this guy and he's going to go eat. I think it's going to make it a lot harder for these guys to actually blitz Burrow than it has been in the past.
Yeah, you mean you'd hope so, right?
You'd hope so.
That it's like sheer size would do that. Yeah, in some of these, Latham and Mims, if the Bengals draft one of those guys, again, just like massive human beings. I don't think going with just like sheer size and girth along the offensive line is a bad idea.
No,
I mean, why it seems simplistic, but why not? I think going with guys who you're not getting around them no matter what sounds like a good plan to me.
Exactly. Now, Paul Painter's in the chat here. Paul Painter here. I don't see this happening. Well, sure question. Your opinion. Are the Bengals ready to spend another draft pick on a kicker? I don't think they're going to. Honestly, I think they like Brad. I think Brad, and this has nothing to do with him going on my show tomorrow, but I really do think they like him. I do think they're going to bring competition in, but I don't really see them drafting one. What do you think?
Man, I'd be surprised if they used a draft pick on a punter 2 years in a row. I mean, I would be surprised at that. And you look at what Darren Simmons has said. He's a pretty honest guy. I mean, he's admits the struggles that Brad Robbins had, but even if you kind of read between the lines, it doesn't sound like they're ready to go out and replace him. And they could have done that this offseason. I mean, Tommy Townsend was on the free agent market. He's a spectacular punter for the Kansas City Chiefs. Last year wasn't his best year, but he signed, I think it was 2 years and $6 million total with the Texans. I mean, there is no way, shape, or form that the Bengals could not have afforded that if they'd wanted to.
Right.
And they didn't. So they could have signed Matt Araiza, who they looked into, who they worked out before he was drafted by the Bills. He's gone through all this off the field stuff, and he's come back. That's who the Chiefs signed to replace Tommy Townsend. They weren't interested in that either. I think these signs are kind of telling you that Brad Robbins is the leader in the clubhouse. I think there will be an undrafted free agent at some point. I have no idea who that will be. I'm not up on the
USDFA. You don't have your crystal ball.
Hunters.
You can foretell
I'm not sure who that is yet, but I think there will be somebody.
Right.
There has to be. There has to be, right? I mean, I think that his performance last year, even if you're excited about him, even if you're looking back at his college production and you think he can turn it around, last year's performance, you have to bring in somebody else. Just
Yeah,
that's
you
how
have
it
to.
works.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how it works with specialists.
Yeah.
That's just how it is with specialists, and that
Yeah.
I would be surprised if they don't.
Yeah, I'll be surprised. Like, I don't think they'll draft somebody, but like you said, I think they'll do a undrafted free agent, bring him in, and do a competition and stuff. So, but like I said, I can ask Brad more of those questions tomorrow when he's on the show. All right, Jeremy here. Let's see here. Now, I've been on vacation and sorry, busy with my other jobs, but so I don't exactly know what the new kickoff rules are. So I cannot actually answer this, but he wants to know how you feel about the new kickoff rules. What are the new kickoff rules?
So the new kickoff rules are. It's kind of hard to explain, like on a podcast, even a visual one, because like there's so much going on in these new rules. But if you've watched the XFL, then you know what this looks like. Essentially the XFL rules. Yes.
I got you.
Yep. So there's a landing zone in between the 0 and the 20 where the ball has to go. Mm-hmm. Nobody's moving before the ball is caught, except for the kicker and the return man. It's supposed to avoid, collisions and the concussions that happen on these kickoffs. So there's other details about it, but I like it. I'll just be honest. I wouldn't care if they said every drive is starting at the 25. We're getting rid of kickoffs altogether. Would not bother me in the least. If they're going to keep kickoffs, I think this is the way to do it. I mean, the way it happened last year, I think the return rate was down to like 20%, maybe even lower. It just didn't add anything to the game. It was time to go get a drink and use the bathroom. Right. There was nobody was watching that. This will at least be interesting. If you watch the XFL, it's closer to like an offensive play. It's closer to like a running play. You'll be able to have blockers and you'll be able to design something. That's what I'm curious about is where's the creativity going to be? Because you can line up one returner or two returners. Our team's going to mess around with that and do reverses and throwbacks and laterals, and like that's what I'm curious to see. And maybe Darren Simmons, what's he going to come up with to see how's it going to affect the Pittsburgh Steelers? Right before we got on here, went out and signed Cordero Patterson. Now he has a relationship with Arthur Smith, who's the former Falcons head coach and now the Steelers OC. But I'm also guessing the Steelers saw this news about the new rules and said we need to go get arguably the best return man of all time and bring him to our roster. For the Bengals, I don't know who that's going to be. Is that going to be Travion Williams or Charlie Jones or
Chuck Sizzle, baby?
It could be. Or did they look and find somebody in the draft? We just had somebody write an article today for PFN about the top 10 return man in the draft. That's going to be an area of focus now. I think the returns are back in the game. So it's a place to look and for new talent and a little place to gain an edge, I think, if you can come up with some creative solutions.
All right, so you got another question. People asked a couple times in here. What's your thoughts on the hip? I'll put that back up there. The hip drop tackle or hip drop swivel. Which I thought it was if you tackled him and you dropped, that's what it was. But then actually they're saying you can tackle him like that, but you can't swivel. Which Sometimes I don't know how in the world they're going to keep themselves from swiveling when you're tackling somebody and they're running. I'm like, I don't know how they're going to do that. I don't know.
I'm all for anything that improves player safety, honestly, but like it's just very confusing to me. Like as someone who does this for a living, like I'm confused about what a hip drop tackle is, honestly. Right. Like it's they show you videos and like this is what is acceptable. This is what's not. It's like that meme from The Office, like they're the same picture. It's like exactly. I don't. What are you showing me here? I don't know what the difference is. Like,
well, for what it sounds like, it's the one that Logan Wilson did is legal. From what I've seen, and they have said that would not have been called. That was not a violation by the new rule. Yes, right. So which is I'm like I don't know how they're going to enforce this. There's going to be so many. It's going to happen. There's going to be so many flags and. People are like, that's not it. He didn't swivel this way. It's like, it's
from what I've read. I think the emphasis is going to be more on fines, like after the game, like how they do now. Go back and look and say, okay, this was a hip drop. This was a hip drop. You're fine. This, but as it more of a deterrent and try and stay away from putting the refs in that position. I think of trying to legislate what is and what is not a hip drop tackle in real time. And I don't know. Is that going to be reviewable? I have no idea. Like I think it'll be focused more on trying to get like a long-term deterrent instead of just throwing flags all the time. But I'm right with you. I think it's going to be very confusing, at least initially.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens every time they do new rules. It's very confusing
right.
until you actually get it figured out. Like Jeremy here says, it's gonna be hard, especially against guys like Derrick Henry or Nick Chubb, which I mean, both of them are in the AFC North now. So I mean,
right.
you're trying. Which I was talking to Corey Dillon about this yesterday on the show, and you're going to have to try to take guys' knees out. I mean, that's where, or you can only hit them in between. I mean, the target zone would be this. This is where you would prefer them to hit you right here. But they're not like Derrick Henry and guys like that. They're going to have to go after their legs because you can't drag them. I mean, if you're hanging on for dear life and you're swinging around and you take somebody down, well, that could be a hip drop, swivel tackle, whatever the hell they call it. You know, I mean, that's what I don't know how you stop yourself from doing that.
Yeah, I think, I've looked a little bit. There's like the rugby style tackling and stuff. I've seen some people post videos on like different forms of tackling. I really, if this is going to be a big issue for the NFL, I think they'll have to kind of, it'll take like a whole culture change of reteaching how to tackle, I think, at least to eliminate that specific one if they're going to, and just kind of show guys how to like kind of swivel and not do the actual hip drop tackle thing. Hip drop. God, it's hard to say, isn't it?
Hip drop tackle.
It's like pass rush win rate. I can never get that one out either. It's like it's really hard to say.
These are all words we can work on before we go on here and try to talk because we can our talking exercises.
That's right. Yeah.
Like Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. I don't know. All right. So with that being said, and you talk about the run game here, and you like it that the Bengals signed Zach Moss.
Mm-hmm.
I still think with those 2 third-round picks, that could be the wheelhouse for the Bengals to get a bigger back. And that's one thing I still would like them to get that straight line speed. And the kid I like, which I don't know if he's going to be there or not, but is the I can't say his name, the one from Notre Dame. Because I remember watching him beginning of the year. They were playing in Ireland. He's number 7 for Notre Dame, and his thighs are this freaking huge. I'm like, that dude looks like he could truck you. But that for me, that's where I think they might be looking at as far as that type of running back. Am I wrong, or do you think they're happy with their running back room?
Oh, I honestly don't know. I mean, I think that could make sense, but I don't know. I think there are other needs maybe that I would personally prioritize. Like I think offensive and defensive tackle have to be the priorities.
Yeah.
I think you've got to consider a wide receiver in the first 2 rounds.
And quarterback. I mean, I think you got to have quarterback too. I think
those would be my top four positions. I mean, never put it past the Bengals to use a 2nd-round pick on a cornerback, right? I mean, never ever do that.
That's the real.
So I think those are like the top 4 positions. It's tough. You never want to draft for need in the NFL draft, but like there are positions that they definitely need more than others. I mean, I don't think they're going to draft a safety in this draft. Obviously, if they're drafting a linebacker, it's probably not till day 3. I would guess.
Well, them signing Gaither back, I'm not sure if linebackers in the mix. I mean, maybe, but I mean, who's?
Well, they still. I mean, you always need special teams guys. I mean, I think it would have to be a late round thing. But yeah, running back, I put kind of in that middle area, like right with maybe like edge defender, where it's like it'd be nice to get another person, but I don't know if you have to do it. I like the Zach Moss and the Chase Brown combination a lot. Mm-hmm. I really, really do. I think there are still free agents out there that they could pursue in lieu of using a mid-round pick. Day 3 would be the area where I target a running back. I think I'd go in rounds 5, 6, 7, something like that. Try to go after a running back. You still got Travion Williams. Maybe you sign another low-cost free agent, league minimum type guy. But I'm just really happy with the Chase Brown Zach Moss combination. I think it's going to be really, really productive, and it's made me kind of push running back down farther the list of needs than maybe I would have had it earlier this offseason.
I think these two are going to fit the offense more than nothing against Joe Mixon. I love Joe Mixon. I think they're going to fit Zach's offense a little bit more of what they want to try and do. Now, Robert here says, and he's put this on here a couple times on my shows, Brandon Allen, pick 80. I can't remember what school he's out of, but that would be, I think he's a bigger dude, or he's got Cam Hart here at pick 115. So those are two running backs that the Bengals could consider. But like I said, I don't necessarily think running back is going to be as big an issue, but I could see them drafting one. Like I said, it will be any earlier than 3rd round for me.
Yeah, definitely not any earlier than that. Yeah, Braylon Allen is like 250 pounds. He's from Wisconsin. He's a classic like Wisconsin bell cow guy. Absolutely could happen. Yeah, I think that could be a possibility. But for me, just personally, if I were doing it, it'd be a little farther down the list.
Yeah. Now, we talk about wide receiver here.
Hmm.
And my buddy Bengals captain, who's on with me every Monday, still thinks that there's a chance that the Bengals could re-sign Tyler Boyd. Where's your head on that? Is that ship just sailed? Because he hadn't signed with anybody yet. I mean, he's still out there, and he's still best friends with Joe and Jamar and T and all that stuff. What you think? He might take a 1 year, one less shot to try to win this thing?
I guess I really haven't put much thought into it. Honestly, he's kind of been out of sight, out of mind for me. Sounds like he's got interest from the Steelers and was it the Jets? And I think there might have been one other team I'm forgetting that he's at least had some interest in, but yeah, he's not signed. I'm trying to look at my wide receiver rankings. I think so I've got him. I've got Odell Beckham right above him, and then Tyler Boyd. I've got them as the two best receivers left on the market.
Mm-hmm.
I think at that point, I'm guessing those guys are probably going to have to wait till after the draft. I mean, that's just what happens at this time of year is like teams want to see where they stand after the draft. Maybe the teams that don't get the slot receiver who they wanted in round 2, maybe they'll go sign Tyler Boyd. I think that's possible. Maybe if the Jets signed Mike Williams, but they still don't have like a true slot guy. Maybe if they don't get Malik Neighbors or Ruma Dunze at the top of the draft, maybe that's when they kind of sign Boyd.
Mm-hmm.
For the Bengals, I don't know. I guess it could happen. I guess it just depends on what his market is. I think that, like I said, I'd be surprised if the Bengals are not using a relatively early pick on a receiver just to prepare for T. Higgins' eventual departure. Mm-hmm. So if you've got that early round guy here, you've got T, you've got Jamar, you've got Yoshivas, who I think showed some stuff last year, hopefully Charlie Jones. Snaps and targets are kind of running out at that point. Even from Gesicki as well, and Tanner Hutt, and the running backs. The targets are starting to disappear. At that point, I think maybe from Tyler Boyd's perspective, unless he has no other options and he just really wants to stay where he's always been, I think for his own career, I think he'd probably want to go somewhere else where he'd have more of a role.
Right, and that's the thing is just the guys we mentioned. Those are guys are going to be the ones that are going over the middle, taking those plays that TB had, or if there's going to be more running back out of the backfield and with Moss and Brown and Gesicki. And I think we're going to see more two tight end sets with Gesicki and Drew Sample or Tanner Hudson, but probably Sample because he's actually the blocker out of all of them. I'm very excited to see that. I want to see that version of the Bengals with a two tight end set.
It's something I've been curious about, dating back to last year, because you've seen teams like the Chiefs and the Bills, they've leaned into these two, and even like the Chiefs, even like 3 tight end offenses.
Mm-hmm. Hey, put all 3 of them out there. That I didn't even think about that. You have Tanner Hudson, Gesicki, and Drew Sample out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's if you don't have Tyler Boyd anymore, and you're not tied to 11 personnel like the Bengals have basically been for the entire of Zach Taylor's tenure, then I think you can start to explore these other personnel groups and these other formational looks and stuff. Yeah, I think Gesicki and Sample are like, you talk about liking the Moss and Brown combination. That's kind of what Gesicki and Sample are from a tight end perspective. So I really like, and Tanner Hudson is one of my favorite players from last year. Just the way he kind of came on last year. Yeah.
I remember watching him from the bridge. I'm like, who in the hell is that 87? And I told my wife, I'm like, oh, I was like, that dude's making the team. And then he didn't make it out of training camp, which I was shocked. I'm like, I kept banging the table. Me and my buddy Dale from Bengals and Bruce, we're both of us banging the table for Tanner to get out there. I'm like, dude can catch. I mean, and I think he's a better blocker than he gets credit for. I mean, I'm not going to say he's a great blocker, but he's better than what I think people think he is. But still,
he's better than Mike Gesicki.
Yeah, right, exactly. But
pretty sure about that.
To your point there, with Tyler Boyd, if they don't re-sign him, does that open the offense up even more with different guys and different sets that they can do with Gesicki, with Sample, with Zach Moss and all this stuff? That's I didn't even think about that. That's actually more exciting. It's another wrinkle that we could do to this offense that we haven't seen.
And you also look at, this is the first time that the Bengals have a lot of different faces on the offensive coaching staff in a long time, right? Mm-hmm. Brian Callahan's out. Dan Pitcher is in. They brought in who they signed. Jordan Salkin is an offensive assistant, right?
Well,
Justin
they have a passing game coordinator now too.
Yeah, Justin Muscati is a passing game coordinator. So this is the first time they've really had new voices in that room.
Which, I mean,
not,
how many Bengals fans have said that the last couple of years? I've heard that we need more voices. We need different voices. Well, this year we're going to get it.
Yeah. No, so I'm excited to see how the offense morphs, I think, as this new kind of version of the Bengals develops and how it's going to look, even looking forward to 2025 if T. Higgins is no longer around, and how the Bengals could further morph if they're even more centered around Jamar Chase and how an offense might look in that kind of capacity. So there's, I think, a lot of kind of avenues that Bengals could go down, not just this season, but even further down the road in terms of exploring different personnel groups and formations that they could use and not just be tied to the 3 wide receiver look that we've all kind of come to know and associate with the Zach Taylor offense.
Exactly. Now, we always got to bring up T. Higgins. I'll just put Lawrence's comment up here. He said, now, if T. Higgins don't want to play here, trade him in the draft. Would be great and find a replacement in the draft. I've said this from the get-go. Unless somebody knocks the Bengals' socks off, T. Higgins is going to be in stripes. And I'll give Game On credit for this. Now, James Rapine has even said this, that the Bengals could tag T back-to-back years and fit him under the salary cap. There's no guarantee that this is his last year. They could tag him twice. Now, if you tag him twice, then after that you lose him. But you could tag him there. Where are you at on the T. Higgins thing? I mean, do you think that they're going to trade him? I personally don't think they're going to trade him. I think they're going to make him stay here unless somebody goes, here's a first round pick and a second round pick. Then they'll trade him. But other than that, I don't think they're trading him.
Yeah, I mean, you could tag him again in 2025. It's not going to be cheap. He'd get a 20% raise over what he's earning this year, so it's not going to be cheap. But the salary cap is going to go up every year, so it's
right.
It's all relative from that perspective. I don't think he'll be traded. No, I definitely don't. I just think this is too much of a Super Bowl, or I hate to keep saying Super Bowl or bust because it's not.
But it is,
right?
Well, it's been like that the last couple of years. It
is, but like I don't want to give the perception that like their window is closing.
Well, for this group of players, it is. Yes.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I think for that, the only way you'd kind of give up on this iteration is if you're guaranteed to replace T. Higgins with it like an elite receiver. So unless somebody in the top 7 picks is going to give the Bengals their first round pick and let them get Marvin. Yeah, unless they're getting Rome Odunze or Malik Neighbors or Marvin Harrison Jr., I don't think you're replacing T. Higgins' production this year. Even then, rookies are not guarantees. Just odds are one of these big 3 receivers is not going to pan out, right?
Yeah.
I don't think you can sacrifice what a T. Higgins brings ceiling-wise, even if it's like maybe the best long-term move, which it probably is, and fiscally it probably is. I still think there's too much to gain this year from, this is a Super Bowl year. This can be a Super Bowl year. I don't think you can give that up, and I think you have to keep T. Higgins unless there's just like a radical offer, which I don't think there will be.
I don't think it will be either. That's what I keep trying to I hate to say explain because I'm not saying people are dumb, but people look at, all right, we'll just trade T for this, and that team will give us that. Like, why? Okay, if you're, like you just said, if you're going to trade him for a number 1 pick, say a top 5 pick, they can draft a wide receiver who is just as talented. I don't know if he's going to turn out like T. Higgins, but he's on a rookie contract and it'll be a hell of a lot cheaper, and he's younger.
Yeah.
Why would they trade that? And then this whole narrative, or 2 weeks ago, the Bengals, they're going to trade, they're going to get Justin Jefferson on the team. Like, okay, first of all, why would the Vikings trade Justin Jefferson for T. Higgins? It's going to cost them, T's going to be a little cheaper than Justin, but it's still going to cost them a ton of money. I'm like, if they're trading Justin Jefferson, I think they're trading him to somebody because I think they're going to rebuild and try to get draft picks. And that ain't us because we're not giving them a whole bunch of draft picks for Justin Jefferson. So the whole narrative that it's so easy to trade T. Higgins, which, yeah, if you just want to give him away, hell yeah, that's easy. But if you want to get something for him, most teams I don't think are going to do that. Just because the draft, if they're up high enough and they need a wide receiver, they can draft one. So that's where I don't see, not that the market's not there for T, the market is there. It's just what's the other team going to get, or what are they going to give up for him? And I don't think a lot of teams are willing to do that because there's a lot of wide receivers in this draft that you could draft. I mean, remember, T. Higgins was a 2nd round pick. Nobody knew T. Higgins was going to be as good as he was. I mean, T did, and I was really excited when we got him because, I thought he was going to be really good. He's been better than I even thought he was going to be. But I mean, that's the thing. It's like, well, you said you draft these guys in the top 5. It doesn't mean they're going to be T. Higgins. T. Higgins was second round, so I just don't see it happening. I don't see anybody being that desperate to give us what the Bengals want. And Mike Brown is not going to budge. Duke Tobin ain't going to budge either.
One of my favorite NFL writers is Bill Barnwell from ESPN, and one thing he always writes about that always sticks with me is that NFL trades are not about talent for the most part. They're about leverage. And the Bengals just don't have a lot of leverage right now. We saw the Chiefs just trade L'Jarius Sneed to the Titans for a 2025 third round pick. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Bengals would obviously get more than that for T. Higgins. L'Jarius Sneed is actually like sneaky old. He's like 2 full years older than Higgins. Wide receiver is a more valuable position than cornerback. There are a lot of reasons I think that T. Higgins would get more, but he would also cost more to his new team. He's not going to sign for $19 million a year like L'Jarius Sneed just did.
Right.
He's going to command $26 million a year in his new deal. Teams are not going to give you a first round pick just for the right to go hand a guy $50 million, right? That's just not going to happen. Like, the only team I think that could even be realistic is the Jaguars. Like, if they wanted to give number 17 for T. Higgins, because I feel like the Jaguars are getting kind of desperate right now. Like, they really wanted Calvin Ridley back and couldn't get him back. And I think they really want another receiver. That's the one I keep thinking, like, if they offered straight up 17 for T. Higgins, would the Bengals accept that? I don't know. I still think that's tough. You're not going to get one of those top receivers at that range. So I still think that'd be tough. But it's just the one I'm keeping in mind.
Yeah, for me, I'm like 17, because to where I look at it is you're trying to directly replace T. Higgins with 17, and I don't think anybody at 17 it would be as good as T. I mean, I don't. I mean, T's is elite. I mean, I'm still holding out hope we're going to sign him, but I don't think that's gonna. I don't think that's going to happen. But I mean,
I think if it was going to happen, I think what they would have had to have done is do it even like before free agency, and then you go out and you sign a veteran number 2 receiver at like not like a top of the market guy, but you go out and sign a Darnell Mooney, you go out and sign a Gabe Davis just to have somebody else, and then you can still draft a guy. But like, the fact that they didn't do anything like that, I just don't think they're ready to trade T. Higgins at this point.
Right. I mean, well, and the thing is, I mean, you talk about the wide receiver for the Jaguars that signed with the Texans, or not the Titans.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yep. Calvin Ridley. Yeah.
Calvin Ridley. Thank you. $90 million. 60 of it's guaranteed. That's your Calvin Ridley. And I'm not trying to talk shit about Calvin Ridley, but T. Higgins is better than he is. So he's going to get a lot more than that.
And much younger. And much younger.
So I'm like, that's the market they're at. And Justin Jefferson hasn't signed yet. So, I mean, T's going to get paid a lot of freaking money next year, the year after that, whenever it is. And that's where it's just like, the Bengals are going to sign Jamar. That's going to happen. And I wish you could sign both. I just don't see him keeping both. And I like I said, I am not going to be surprised if he gets tagged twice. That's just me. I wouldn't.
No, I won't be either. I won't be either. I think that very well could happen. I think they could. So I think they could maybe trade him after tagging him in 2025. Like, finally make the move to trade him at that point. But man, I would hate the franchise tag if I were an NFL player, man.
Oh yeah, they hate it. Oh, they hate it.
It's just unbelievable.
It's
like to keep these guys off the market, like what they could be making. It's just like absolutely brutal. But if you're the team and that's how the rules are set up, like, you just can't let a guy like T. Higgins walk out the door. And even next year, he's going to be what, 26? Even if it's 20% raise, it's $25 million on a cap that's going to be $275 million.
I mean, if he gets tagged twice, he's making over $40 million in 2 years. If he gets tagged twice, I mean, that's a good amount of money. It's not what he's going to get when he gets on the open market, but that's still pretty good money. And the thing is, the Bengals have went through this the last 2 years. 2 years ago was Jesse Bates. He was upset, didn't want to get traded. Sat out preseason. Jonah Williams upset, wanted to get traded. What happened? Nothing. They came here, they put the uniform, put the stripes on, went out and played, and then went and got their money somewhere else. And now, like I said, the bad thing for T is there's a very good possibility. We keep saying that he could get tagged twice, but I do agree with you. There's a better shot of them trading him next year in the offseason if they tag him again, because especially after they win the Lombardi, because we know they're winning the Lombardi this year. I'm just putting that out there.
Of course.
And especially after that, because because then they got an extra year out of him. They might be willing to take a little less than they are this year if they get that extra year out of him.
I think they'd have to. I mean, he'd be older. He'd have another year of kind of wear and tear on his body. I think you'd have to be willing to take less, but I just think, at that point, maybe you kind of have felt that the time has run its course, but I just don't think you can let him walk out the door for nothing though.
No.
You have to be able to get, and I know you'll get a compensatory pick back a year after that, but that's only if the Bengals don't do anything in free agency. People act like compensatory picks are just like lock it in. It's not. It also matters how many players you bring in as well, and as compared to how many you lose. So I think he'll play this season. I don't even think it'll be like an awkward situation. I mean,
no, I don't. That's
I really don't.
No, people keep saying that, like, oh, well, you don't want him to be disgruntled. I don't think he's going to be disgruntled. I think he loves it here, and it sucks for him. I get it, but he's going to make it $21.8 million, so it's not going to suck that bad. The hope is he doesn't get injured. Now, I'm going to feel awful if he gets injured. That's the risk he takes. But
Absolutely.
he doesn't. And you said you're talking about the Bengals don't have any leverage with trading T. T doesn't have any leverage. I mean, they can sit there and say they want to get traded, but the Bengals don't have to do anything.
No. And we've seen how Mike Brown negotiates, right? He's going to do what he wants to do. He's not going to be backed into a position. So, and I think T probably realizes that. And I think just every NFL player
he's
realizes
seen it the last 2 years.
He's seen it here.
Yeah.
You saw it with the 3 running backs that got tagged last year. It's these guys hold out, and then, well, when it comes to it, we'll agree to a new contract that's really just a few incentives here and there. It's to save face,
Yeah.
I think these guys realize that the best thing to do is just play through the year, get to free agency, and then go from there.
They can't sit out a year. I mean,
you cannot lose a year.
Yeah, you can't lose a year. It's too hard on them. Anyway, you say you got to get out of by 6:15. I missed it by a minute. Dallas,
you're good.
Thanks for coming on to plug your stuff, what you and Jay got going on there at Pro Football Network.
Absolutely. Pro Football Network Bengals podcast, usually every Tuesday. We just recorded today going over the kind of first round draft options. Next week, we're going to have Ian Cummings, who is our top draft analyst. He's going to come on and talk about all the different fits. We actually have a huge new feature coming to our mock draft simulator. It's going to be announced tomorrow. I can't say anything more than that, but it's going to be kind of a game changer in the mock draft simulator realm. We did it. Jay and I were part of a big event we did on Monday that related to that we'll have coming out tomorrow. So look out for that. But just check everything out at Pro Football Network. Jeff, again, thanks for having me on as always.
Dallas, I appreciate it, man. I had Ian on a couple weeks ago, so I got to try to get him back on again. He knows his stuff, man. I was hitting him with all kinds of stuff, and he's just like bam, bam, bam. Like,
he is outstanding. He's as good as anyone in the business. I will say that every day. He is just outstanding.
Yeah, I don't know how they remember stuff. Because I'll talk about a guy, and I see his face, and then I get to the point where I'm going to say his name, and it's like, poof. I'm like,
I know. It's unbelievable recall. I can't understand it.
It might just because I'm getting old. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, Dallas.
Me too, man.
Hey, I hope if you come into Cincinnati for a game this year, make sure you hit me up. We'll have to go have a beer or something.
Absolutely. I do plan to get on Cincinnati probably this summer, so I'll have to hit you up.
Hey, yeah, let me know.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, brother. Take it easy. Hoo-day.
Take care, buddy. Bye-bye.
All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. That's kind of where I'm at with the whole T. Higgins thing. I don't think, I've said this before in here, I don't think they're trading him. I definitely could see them tagging him, and I really, like Dallas just said, I think there's definitely a better shot of them trading him next year. And like I said, I don't see T being disgruntled or anything because one, T loves this team. He loves this city. He understands it's a business. It sucks, but that's the way it is. And big picture, he does want to win. He wants to win a Super Bowl. He wants to win it with these guys. He came in with these guys. That means something. So I would be absolutely shocked if he can't sit out a year. It would just hurt him. I mean, one, he would lose $21.8 million, and he lose a whole year of football, which is just not a good thing to do. So I don't think that's going to happen, but we'll see. Now, see, all right, Hunter. See that's the thing. Hunter's got on here the whole request was some BS from his agent. Yeah, and that's the thing it's not T. I mean, his agent is doing what his agent does to try to get his clients the most money he can. And the only leverage, it's not even leverage, the only thing to have is say, all right, you're not going to sign me for what I want or not going to negotiate or whatever, then I'll be traded. That's falling on deaf ears when it comes to Mike Brown. I mean, just remember Carson Palmer. He was willing to retire. Mike Brown was like, all right, go retire. until the Raiders came in, gave him a first and a second and third, or however many picks they gave him. So, I mean, it's just not going to happen. I mean, like I said, it sucks. I don't like the franchise tag for the players. It is a risk that they're going to take of playing and hoping they don't have any major injuries for that year. And it will weigh on T's mind. I think it did weigh on his mind at the beginning of last year. I mean, Jesse Bates even said that, on his tag year, that at the beginning of the year, it was weighing on his mind because, I mean, we're talking a lot of money here in their career. You don't want to go out there and play worried about hurting yourself, But it's going to be in the back of the mind because, man, if I hurt myself, I'm screwed. I'm screwed for the rest of the time, depending on what the injury is and all that stuff. So it's hard to do. I mean, T's between a rock and a hard place, and there's really nothing he can do about it. I mean, all T can do is let his agent handle his business, which is what I think T is doing, and T's going to handle his business, which is what I think T's doing. T's going to come in. Will he be there for training camp? I don't know. I could see David Mulligella telling him to sit out. That's what he told Jesse Bates to do. So there, I could definitely see, and the reports are coming. Oh, T's disgruntled. He's not coming to training camp. Yada yada yada. It's gonna be the same thing, Jesse Bates showed up and then started playing. I could totally see it. Same thing happening. Now, T might be like, you know what? T showed up for everything last year, and he didn't have to. So I don't know. I've met T. He's a really nice dude. His mom is awesome. I knew his dad before he passed. I mean, they're a great family, but just because you're nice, it's business, and you got to do things business to help your family. And if you're trusting your agent and he's telling you to sit out, then that's what you're going to do because that's what you pay the agent for. So we'll see what happens. I'm very excited about the season. We got Reds opening day coming up here Thursday. Make sure you guys come join me because I'm very excited about this. Have the Reds opening day, my first ever live show. Not ever live show, but live show at Reds opening day. We're going to do it from the Moreland House 1 to 3 p.m. Make sure you show up. We're going to be doing some giveaways. I'm going to be getting down. Me and Joey Carr from ZTV are going to be down there beginning at 9 a.m. We're going to be going around doing some fan interviews and stuff. And we'll be giving away some ZTV packages, some care packages. So if you want to come on and give us your predictions about the Red season, how you're feeling about it, how many home runs you think Ellie's going to get. Does Ellie have a shot at getting 80 stolen bases? Stuff like that. You come down and you can be on camera, and we'll do some cool things, fun things down there before the show starts. Show starts at 1:30. They got a lot of stuff going on. John and friends are going to be over at the beer gardens, so you can meander back and forth. But I want to fill that little area up. If you guys can tell your friends, tell your neighbors to come to Moreland House, you can go to the beer gardens, but come. I got this little area in front. The bar's there. The door to Moreland House is there. The stage is going to be right there. We got enough chairs that we can fill it up with as many people, Reds fans, as we can get there. Like I said, the guys from Locked On Reds are going to be there. My boys from Riverfront are going to be there. I got some special guests. Greg Vaughn, I can say this one, as long as I remind him, said that he would join, not live. He's going to do it via a live stream. And there's some other special guests that may or may not show up. They said they'd try, so I don't want to sit there and say, this guy's showing up or this guy's showing up because I don't exactly know. But it's going to be a fun time. So please come down to the Moreland House. Like I said, between 1 and 3. Come say hi, especially if you're a loyal viewer or whatever, and I haven't met you in person yet. Come up and say hi, and we get some talk some Reds, talk some Bengals, talk some Bearcats, which like I said, we got the Bearcats tonight. I cannot wait. I think it's at 9 o'clock tonight, though, which stinks. I wish it was earlier. I'm pretty sure it's on ESPN. I have to look that up. They're taking on Indiana State. Now, I'm old. Last time I knew anything about Indiana State, this guy named Larry Bird played for them. So it'll be very interesting going to watch this game against Indiana State. I think hopefully our big boys dominate. That's what I want to see. Hopefully we'll have another coming out party for Jizzle James. If you guys watched the game, what day was that? Sunday? Whatever the last game was, I can't remember. Jizzle played awesome. I'm hoping that doesn't mean that he'll get some more NIL money from somebody else and leave us. But watching him perform to where I was hoping he could do, and watching him get all the playing time that I've been clamoring for. I've been wanting him to start. Nothing against Day Thomas, but Jizzle, I think, is that dude for this team. I think he has got the moxie to make the right passes, make the right shots. Lukosius is shooting out of his mind. Hopefully he keeps that up. I just wish we could get a little more post play going on. And yes, Brad, ESPN, thank you, sir. 9 p.m. on ESPN, so make sure you guys check that out. Tomorrow, I have Bengals punter Brad Robbins going to be on the show. Please be nice to him. There's a very good chance he will be our punter next year. Excuse me. One thing I was talking to Brad at the tattoo event, and I'm pretty sure he's the one that said this, but I know somebody's talked to him. I'll have to bring this up to him tomorrow. But he worked on holding a lot. The way they wanted him to hold the ball, the way they wanted to catch the ball and stuff, and he's got that part down now this year. Not that's the reason he stunk last year, didn't punt as good as I think he should have. He thinks he should have. I'm looking for a big bounce back year for Brad Robbins this year. I think he's going to punt good. I do think they're going to bring in somebody else. I don't think they're going to draft one. I think like Dallas said, I think it's going to be a non-drafted free agent. They got to bring competition in. They have to. You can't go through a year like Brad Robbins did last year and not have competition. That's just the way it goes. I think they're going to. We'll see. Yes, Robert, we need to sign Money Mac. I agree. Yeah, Tony Blazin, UFL this season starts Sunday. There's a lot of stuff. I'd like to watch that, but I don't know. Because you got Sweet 16, Elite 8 going on this weekend. I watched a ton of college basketball while I was on vacation. I'm going to watch a ton more. I love this time of year. So I would like to try to watch UFL. I did watch the XFL a good bit last year. I will try to watch that, and I think the Reds will be playing on Sunday too. Because they will. Because they should be playing Sunday. So I don't know what time. I gotta look at that. So there's a lot of good sporting event going on right now. Like I said, make sure you guys join me Thursday. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Thanks for watching. Do me a favor, if you're watching the stream right now, hit those thumbs up. I got 133 people watching me. I got one thumbs up. Please hit the thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Check it out on ZTV Online. Also, you can give me some stars on Facebook. Thumbs up on X, Rumble, and if you listen to the podcast or you want to check it out on the podcast if you missed anything, please check it out. It's on BeanPod, Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher Play, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. Please make sure you rate, like, and review. And as always, you can follow me on all my social media platforms. Like I said, Facebook, Twitter, or X, what we call it, Instagram, TikTok, Threads. And then shout out to my sponsors of the show. I greatly appreciate them. Please, if you guys go to any of these places, I recommend you go there. If you're looking for any door windows, please check out Meyer Door Windows. They're a great family-owned business. They do a great job. My house looks awesome with the new windows. Like I said, my energy bill has gone down. They're not only great looking, they're also easy to clean. Free estimates, please check them out at www.meyercincy.com for all your doors and windows. Midwest Best Barbecue, my favorite barbecue joint in the city. Go check them out. Like I said, if you like chicken wings like I do, get the CTB wings, the Uno wings, the G-Funk. If you like the pulled pork sandwich, like I said, every once in a while they have this chili that I'm telling you is just delicious. And every third Saturday, they smoke ribs. Oh my goodness, they're so... Dude, every time I talk about Midwest Best, I make myself hungry. So make sure you check out Tim and Nicole. Like I say, tell them Strawberry Ice sent you. My West Side peeps. And if you're not from the West Side, you can drive all over to Cheviot. Go to Hail Mary's, your ticket for the game. It's a cool little bar there. They got great beer specials. Like I said, they have a giant TV screen. I will be doing some live broadcasts there over the summer. I did a couple this winter. Make sure you check it out. It's a cool little bar. Cheviot is the gem of the West Side. There's, you can go to Hail Mary's. You can go to Fogarty's. You can go to a couple other bars there. But make sure you stop at the Hail Mary's, please. And if you do, please tell them Strawberry Ice sent you. I would greatly appreciate it. Other than that, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Like I said, we got Brad Robbins on the show. And then we got the big one Thursday. Red's opening day. I can't wait. Ready? Throw it up. That's your sports, baby. See ya!